How to escape your reality. You know that feeling when you're watching your own life like it's a movie, and it's not a good one. You're there. You're breathing. You're going through the motions. But you're not really living. You're just existing. Wake up. Commute. Desk. Commute. Netflix. Sleep. Repeat. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this voice. Quiet, but persistent. Saying this isn't it. This can't be it. That's where Jake was. 28 years old. Data analyst. 82,000 a year. On paper, fine. In reality, numb. Same routine for 3 years. Same commute. Same desk. Same Sunday scaries every single week. He wasn't depressed exactly. He just felt like he was watching his life happen instead of living it. 30 pounds heavier than he was in college. Gym membership he hadn't used in 8 months. A business idea for a budgeting app saved in his notes for 2 years. Never started. Always someday. He wanted to learn guitar when he was a kid. Still thought about it sometimes. Never did anything about it. And here's the thing that really got him. His 29th birthday was 4 months away. And that terrified him. Not because 29 is old, but because he realized he was about to be 29 with nothing to show for the last 5 years except a slightly bigger paycheck and a lot of wasted potential. Then one night, he was scrolling Instagram, and he saw a video from his college roommate. The guy was in Thailand, working from a laptop on a beach. Looked healthy, looked happy, looked like he was actually living. And Jake just stared at the screen. They graduated the same year. Same starting point. Same opportunities. Completely different timelines. Something broke inside him that night. Not in a dramatic way. Just a quiet realization that hit him like a truck. They started in the same place. And somehow ended up in completely different realities. Which meant the life Jake was living wasn't inevitable. It was a choice. A series of choices. Or more accurately, a series of non-choices. Defaults. Autopilot. And if his roommate could end up in that timeline, then that timeline existed. It was real. It was possible. The question was, how do you get there? Jake started researching, reading, watching videos. And most of what he found was useless. Motivational fluff. Set goals. Believe in yourself. Visualize success. He had tried all that. It never stuck. He would get fired up for a week, maybe 2, and then slide right back into the same patterns. But then he came across an idea that changed everything. The problem wasn't his goals. The problem was his approach. See, Jake had been trying to improve his current life. Make small tweaks. Optimize the edges. Get a little healthier. Make a little progress on the side project. Learn a little guitar. But that's not how transformation works. You don't escape your current reality by making it slightly better. You escape by jumping to a different one entirely. Think about it like this. Every possible version of your future exists right now. As potential, there's a timeline where Jake is still on that couch 5 years from now. Heavier. More stuck. More numb. And there's a timeline where he's running his own business from Bali. Lean. Free. Alive. Both timelines are real possibilities. The question is, which one are you moving toward? And erase the insight that unlocked everything for Jake. You can't get to a destination without coordinates. If you plug a vague idea into a GPS, you get nothing. I want to go somewhere nice doesn't give you directions. But the moment you enter a specific address, the whole route appears. Same thing with your life. Jake had been operating with vague desires. Get healthier. Start a business. Learn guitar. No wonder he never got anywhere. There was no destination. Just fuzzy intentions. So he got specific. He asked himself one question. What do I actually want my life to look like in 3 years? Not what sounds impressive. Not what he should want. What he actually wanted. And when he was honest with himself, it wasn't complicated. He wanted to run his own thing. Nothing massive. Just enough to quit the job and work for himself. He wanted to work from anywhere. Maybe Bali. Maybe Austin. Didn't matter where. Just not commuting to a cubicle. He wanted to be lean and athletic. The kind of guy who runs in the morning because he wants to, not because he's forcing himself. He wanted to play guitar around a campfire with friends. Not a professional. Just good enough to enjoy it. And he wanted to feel present. Calm. Actually living instead of watching. That was the target timeline. Now he needed coordinates. Here's how it works. Your life, every life, comes down to 3 pillars. Health, wealth, happiness. Nobody argues with this. Every human on earth is trying to optimize these 3 things whether they realize it or not. Everything you want fits into one of these 3 buckets. So Jake looked at his target timeline and pulled out one specific goal for each pillar. For health, he chose an athletic achievement. Something triggerable. Something that either happens or it doesn't. Not get healthier. Not lose some weight. A specific event he could point to. He chose run a 5K in under 30 minutes. He could barely run a mile without stopping. But that's the point. The coordinate is the destination, not the starting point. For wealth, he chose a business milestone. Again, specific. Triggerable. Binary. He chose launch the budgeting app and get 25 paying users. Not build a business. Not make some money. 25 real people paying real money for something he built. For happiness, he chose a creative side quest. The thing he always wanted to do but never made time for. He chose learn to play 3 complete songs on guitar. Not learn guitar. Not get pretty good. 3 specific songs, start to finish. Now Jake had his coordinates. The GPS had an address. He could actually see where he was going. And hey, race where something interesting happened. Once the coordinates were clear, Jake could suddenly see the version of himself who lived there. It's like when you plug an address into maps. You don't just get directions. You can see the street view. You can see what it looks like when you arrive. Jake's coordinates painted a picture. And in that picture was a different version of him. This version woke up early. Not because he had to. Because he wanted to. He ran 3 miles before coffee. He worked on his product from 8 to noon with complete focus. He practiced guitar in the afternoon. His evenings were actually free. Not free, but anxious. Genuinely free. This was who Jake was becoming. Not a fantasy. A destination. The version of himself that lived at those coordinates. But hey, race, the thing about destinations. You don't just teleport there. You have to drive. And driving requires knowing what actually moves the needle. So Jake asked himself the next question. What are the driving factors? For each coordinate, there's one thing that matters most. One lever that, if you pull it consistently, almost guarantees you hit the destination. For the 5K, the driving factor was obvious. Miles run. Not gym sessions. Not workout classes. Miles. Actual running. That's what would get him across that finish line in under 30 minutes. He did the math. To run a 5K well, he needed to build up his base. He set a target of 100 miles over 90 days. That breaks down to about 8 miles a week. 3 runs of 2.5 miles. Totally doable. For the business milestone, the driving factor was visibility. Nobody buys what they don't know exists. He decided to build in public. Post videos documenting the process. Sharing what he was learning. Attracting an audience that would become his first customers. 60 videos over 90 days. 5 per week. 1 every weekday. For the guitar, the driving factor was practice sessions. Not watching tutorials. Not buying gear. Actually sitting down with the guitar and practicing for at least 30 minutes. 45 sessions over 90 days. About every other day. Now Jake had coordinates and driving factors. Destination and vehicle. He knew where he was going and what would get him there. But 90 days is a long time. And Jake knew himself. He was the king of starting strong and fading out by week 3. So he broke it down further. Each week, he knew exactly what he needed to hit to stay on pace. About 8 miles. About 5 videos. About 3 or 4 practice sessions. And each day, he knew exactly what to do. Not a vague to-do list. Specific actions tied directly to his coordinates. Monday, run 2.5 miles. Post 1 video. 30 minutes of guitar. That was it. 3 things. All connected to the destination. No busy work. No random tasks. Just the driving factors. Day 1 felt strange. Jake woke up and actually knew what to do. He couldn't remember the last time that happened. He ran. It sucked. He made it 1 mile before he had to walk. But he logged it. 1 mile? It counted. He posted a video. Just him talking into his phone about why he was starting this app. It got 12 views. It didn't matter. He posted. He practiced guitar. His fingers hurt after 15 minutes. He pushed to 30. He learned the first verse of Wish You Were Here. Badly. But he learned it. Day 1 was done. He checked in with himself. Still alive. Still going. The first 2 weeks were the hardest. His body wasn't used to running. His mind wasn't used to creating content. His fingers weren't used to the strings. Everything hurt. Everything was awkward. Every day he thought about quitting. But he had a number. A simple calculation. How aligned was he with the person he was becoming? Some days he hit everything. Some days he missed a run or skipped a video. But he tracked it. He knew exactly where he stood. Week 3. Something shifted. The run started getting easier. He wasn't gasping for air after a mile. He ran 2 miles without stopping for the first time since college. His videos started getting comments. People related to the struggle. A few asked when the app would be ready. He could play the verse and chorus of one song. Not smoothly, but recognizably. Week 6. Halfway point. Jake's clothes fit differently. His face looked different in the mirror. He had run 48 miles total. He was slightly ahead of pace. He had posted 32 videos. His small audience was growing. He had a wait list of 40 people for the app. 40 people who actually wanted what he was building. He could play 1 complete song. Working on the second. More importantly, he felt different. The fog was lifting. He wasn't watching his life anymore. He was living it. Week 9. The home stretch. Jake ran 5 kilometers for the first time. Not a race. Just to see if he could. Time was 31 minutes and 14 seconds. Over his target, but close. The app was ready. He launched to his wait list. Priced it at $15 a month. 14 people sign up on day 1. He could play 2 songs confidently. The third was coming together. Day 90. Jake ran his official 5K. He didn't tell anyone. Just signed up for a local fun run. He crossed the finish line in 27 minutes and 42 seconds. He stood there catching his breath and realized he was crying. Not from exhaustion. From something else entirely. 3 months ago, he couldn't run a mile. Now he just did 3.1 of them in under 28 minutes. The app had 31 paying users. $465 in monthly recurring revenue. Not life-changing money, but proof. Proof that he could build something people would pay for. He could play Wonderwall, Horse with No Name, and Wish You Were Here start to finish. Not perfectly, but completely. He played at his friend's birthday party. Actual people listened and enjoyed it. He was down 18 pounds. He had handed in his notice at work. His last day was in 3 weeks. But the numbers weren't the real result. The real result was that Jake wasn't Jake anymore. Not the old Jake. Not the one who watched life happen from the couch. This Jake knew what to do when he woke up. And he did it. The autopilot was off. The fog was gone. He was driving now. His college roommate reached out when he saw the posts. Said he was impressed. Asked what changed. Jake didn't know how to explain it. He just said, I picked a destination and started driving. Here is the truth. Jake's coordinates weren't special. 5K. A small app. 3 songs on guitar. These aren't world-changing achievements. But they changed his world. Because the coordinates aren't the point. The point is becoming the person who hits them. Jake didn't just run a 5K. He became a runner. He didn't just launch an app. He became a builder. He didn't just learn 3 songs. He became someone who plays guitar. Identity shift. That's the game. And it starts with coordinates. Specific destinations for health, wealth, and happiness. Not vague intentions. Triggerable events. Then driving factors. The one lever for each pillar that actually moves the needle. Not everything you could do. The one thing that matters most. Then the math. Season targets broken into weeks. Weeks broken into days. Until you know exactly what to do when you wake up. 90 days. That's all it takes to become someone else. Not 90 days of grinding without direction. 90 days of aligned action towards specific coordinates. Jake escaped his reality. Not by fixing it. By leaving it. By building a completely different one. And that timeline he saw on Instagram. The one his roommate was living. Jake is there now too. Different beach. Same freedom. The question is, what about you? What timeline are you heading toward right now? The default one. The one you end up in if nothing changes. More of the same. Slightly worse each year. Or a different one. One you actually choose. You already know what you want. Probably have for years. Health. Wealth. Happiness. Some version of each that feels like freedom. The only question is whether you're going to keep watching. Or start driving. Pick your coordinates. Name them. Write them down. Find your driving factors. The one lever for each that actually matters. Do the math. 90 days. What does that break down to weekly? What does that mean daily? And then start. Day 1 will be awkward. Week 1 will be hard. But somewhere around week 3, something shifts. And by day 90, you won't recognize yourself. Jake didn't. And he had never been happier about it. That's how you escape your reality. Not by improving it. By leaving it behind. Pick a destination. Start driving. The timeline is waiting.